Hey everyone, Bob Downey here, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Just recently got the new Minn Kota Ultrex Quest. This is their brushless trolling motor. This happens to be the 52-inch. I got this put on before we go to the northern swing. I like a little bit longer trolling motor shaft when we're out on that big water. But a couple first impressions of this thing. There's several features that I've been happy with so far. One of them seems super simple. Just the way you adjust this trolling motor up and down, the clamp system on here. It used to be the old twist system. You'd have to twist it a few times, and then you'd move it up and down, and it would seem a little sticky to move up and down. Now we've got a really easy clamp. It takes a second to lift the thing up and push it back down, and it slides really nicely up and down. So that feature is cool. It doesn't really feel heavy when you're lifting it up like it had in the past. This thing is also deadly quiet. Like from 0 to 5 on the dial, if I'm offshore, I can hardly tell if I'm moving or not. So a good problem to have. I'm looking down a little bit more, having to get used to that, and I think I will over time. But I can hardly hear this thing at low speeds. It's extremely fast. I can get this boat up to 4 mile an hour now. My prior one was in that 2.8 to 2.9 range. What that means is a couple things. If I'm fishing shallow cover like isolated docks or isolated cattails or pads, and I'm having great distances between those two pieces of cover, I can turn this thing up to 4 mile an hour and get to that next patch a lot faster. So I'm a lot more efficient of a shallow water angler. Also, if you're in heavy current situations, you're going to have a lot easier time moving around or moving through those heavy current situations. Or let's say you're on the Great Lakes, heavy wind, you're going to be able to hold your spot a lot better because this thing has that much more power. It's got a new foot pedal on it. It looks somewhat similar to the prior Ultrex, but it's got a couple new features. It's got a programmable button here that does many things. Couple of them that I've used so far, you can program it to your rafters or your talons to lift those up and down. You can also program it to allow you to mark a waypoint on your graph, which is kind of cool. Just with the tap of your foot on the button, you can mark a waypoint rather than reaching down and pressing it, which is kind of a cool situation, kind of a cool deal in a situation if you've caught a fish in practice and you don't want your competitors seeing you reaching down to mark a waypoint. Just a quick little tap and you've got a dot on your graph. Lastly is the shaft and the shape of it. The current Ultrex has more of a cylindrical shape. This has some harder edges to it. I wouldn't say it's a square shaft, but it's squared off in places, which means we have a new Mega Live mount. Couple things with that. This mount is going to come with the new Ultrex Quest. So if you purchase one of these and you have the Mega Live unit on your current Ultrex, you don't need to go out and buy a new bracket to mount it on your new trolling motor. This is going to come with the Quest. That's a cool feature. The other part about the shape and the shape of this bracket is you're going to be able to mount this thing perfectly square right out of the box. So with the current Ultrex, you're having to adjust this bracket and hopefully guess that you're dead on straight off of the boat. Now that we've got it squared off a bit, this bracket is going to be perfectly square and facing forward right out of the box. And if you bump something, let's say the bottom, a rock, a stump, this isn't going to move or slide out of position like we sometimes found with the more cylindrical shaft. So that's a really cool feature, especially with the popularity of forward-facing sonar these days. Making sure you get that thing perfectly square and straight and shooting where you want it right away is really key. So several cool features with the new Minn Kota Ultrex Quest. They're still going to have the current model available for sale. That's not going away, but we do have a brushless option now that's super quiet, very powerful, and has some really cool features to it.